Morning, good morning. How are you, colleagues? Yes, you all look refreshed, and especially in your Sasol blue. I've actually known as the Secunda jeans. So it's good to see all of you in the PPE. I was just joking with Harat and saying, looks like our talent issues are solved now. So ready to go into the plant. I hope you had a good night's rest, and like Mashudu was talking about the rising sun, hopefully you enjoyed the view. And remember, the best view is when you have a room that you can see the plants. So those of you who were given that room, at least were privileged. So I was lucky to be one of those. So at least even at night, I can open my window and look at the plant and check if everything is still going okay. And I started my morning with the morning run. Around Secunda, the same streets that I've run for more than 10 years and met more or less the same people, greeted them, and it was actually fun. And they asked me, why are you still? They said, how's still there? Why are you running here? I'm like, yeah, but this is where I always run. So it was actually quite good. So today, what we're going to do, we're going to go to the plant. So what I'm going to do, I'll cover at least our progress that we've made on the reliability of equipment, and that's in particular dealing with the coal value chain, because that's where we were having issues. Then we'll talk about the Secunda future production. It's just one slide. I think Fleetwood has covered it, so I will just flash it again, just to confirm what we want to do. Then we will touch a bit on the 12A, the environmental journey that we are on. And I'm sure that will also be a subject of the Q&A. We've got a video about it as well for some of the people that will see it for the first time. At least you can get a sense of what it's all about. So in FY22, towards the end of that financial year, the beginning of FY23, that's when that inflection point that we spoke about happened to us. And then we had to respond to them. So I must give, I know we were underground, and then this was a Sasol issue. For us, it was not a mining issue or a Secunda operations issue. And then what we did, we came together. I think one of the first things, because myself and Rian started at more or less the same time, with these responsibilities, we had to bring the teams together and talk about how we're going to approach this as a team. And there was, interventions that Herman covered yesterday that he had to take, but there was also interventions that we had to do from our side. So we looked at the reliability of critical equipment. Yeah, thank you. We looked at the reliability of critical equipment, and to that end, the main equipment of focus was the gasifier. We will go through the gasification plant. We will show you how it looks like, because I know the picture that I'm going to show here, it looks like a tiny little equipment, but it's an interesting equipment, so we'll look at that. We then looked at the maintenance effectiveness in terms of how quickly we can do maintenance, because the impact that we're seeing from the sinks is that the breakage of our gasifiers was increasing. So we had to intervene in terms of what we call the mean time to repair. So we had to fix the gasifier quickly to bring them online. I think on average, in FY17, we used to run 72 gasifiers. We came down to 68, 67, and now with what we've done, we're back to the 70, 72. Then we had to take mitigation as well for the quality. The rocks, I think it dawned on us. You remember when it starts to happen, you think it will go away. But then you realize that it's not going away. So we had to intervene, and I'll show you some of the interventions that we took, and Harat will hopefully take us to the workshops as well, so that we can see the intervention that we did, the gasification, to deal with the sinks. And of course, natural gas as well. If you compare FY22 to 23 and 24, we had to make sure we bring more wells online, and that has helped us to at least return the natural gas to the normal levels that we are used to. If you go into some of the interventions that we've done, the first one is the interventions that we did on the Bosman skirt. So the skirt's not the skirt that you wear, but I guess for the gasifier it feels the same. But it's a skirt it's a funnel at the top of a gasifier where the coal comes in. And there's lots of abrasion there because we're introducing coal and it's going to the gasifier from the top, from the coal lock. And then we had serious breakages there. Then our engineers did have a relook at the design. And then if the skirt breaks, you will have to bring down the gasifier, fix it. It takes around 2 to 3 weeks. And then based on the interventions that we did, it was moving on from a welded circumference into a bolt-on design. And that we took out almost a week out of that, because that helps you. You have to bring down the gasifier, fix the skirt, come back online. So that affects the number of gasifiers that are in. And then the channel breaker, because Rian always challenges me when I tell him, oh, there's so much rock. Says, Simon, you must just gasify the rock. Why can't you gasify the rock? So we took him up on that challenge to say, can we gasify the rock? So what the rocks do, as soon as the rocks, because the rocks don't gasify, and then to increase the percentage. So if you're around the 10 to 12, I mean, we could deal with it. But as you start going further, these rocks will go and settle down at the grate. So the picture in the middle shows the grate. They'll settle down there and start creating channels. So you don't have proper burning of coal in the gasifier. It starts going in a channel. So I mean, yeah, our engineers, I mean, under Hara's leadership and I mean, also integrating with some of the people that we work with, had to then come up with a channel breaker, what we call a channel breaker. I mean, you can see it there. I mean, that figure on the right. And I mean, you have to design it, because if you don't design it properly, as soon as you put in a gasifier, it will break almost immediately. So we have to bring in a channel breaker. And what the channel breaker does, it just breaks the channels and tries to make sure that you can maintain a uniform profile inside your gasifier. We also intervened in terms of the control, so we had to introduce an advanced control. We had the Honeywell system that our guys had to take a relook at. So we worked on the set points, we worked on how we introduce oxygen, and that, I mean, also gave us the ability to also increase the life of the gasifier, because we could not run them hard. You can control how you run them. And we can also almost instantaneously know the health of the gasifiers and increase the load on the gasifiers that were more healthy. And you can reduce the load on the sick gasifiers, and you can nest them until the next outage. So that on average helped us to make sure that we can control the gasifiers better. So, I mean, gasification and the coal value chain, that's where our issues were as far as the things were concerned. But what I want to demonstrate to you on this slide is our approach to reliability and maintenance in general. Because some of you asked me and said, Simon, this plant was built in 1980. You've been running for more than 40 years. Isn't it too old? And I said, in the maintenance circles, there's nothing like an old plant. It's a well-maintained plant or a bad-maintained plant. That's the difference between a plant and the life of an asset. And in Secunda and operations in general, we've got, I mean, what we term a computerized maintenance management system, where we've got a very comprehensive approach to maintenance. So firstly, is our approach to the production side of things, where in terms of the standard operating procedures, how you operate the equipment, and also the OWEBs, or operating within grid parameters, where all our equipment, we know where they need to operate. We've got the window, it's already digitized. You can see the equipment, you take into account the design, temperature and pressure, but we go even further than that. Even the secondary, what we call the secondary corrosion loops, the metallurgy of the equipment, where it must be, and we draw a window where it's optimum for equipment to operate. And our engineers check it. We check it, they check it every morning, they get a heat map, and if there's exceedances, we have to respond to it. Then we've got a very comprehensive integrity assurance system, where together with our inspector who's on site, he is certified by the Department of Labor, and our maintenance managers are also GMR 2.1. So I mean, if you open the OSH Act, there's like a section 2.1 which talks about general machinery regulation. They're also agents of the Department of Labor, even though they work for us. They are part of the system, and their job is to make sure that the equipment is maintained and run according to standard. And I mean, we've got that full history of all our equipment in terms of how we approach maintenance on site. So that compliance, we adhere to it very strictly. And we've also implemented an internationally certified risk-based inspection system, which allows us to know the integrity of our equipment at any point in time. We've got scheduled frequencies of how we do the inspections, and those inspections goes into a feedback loop And that feedback loop allows us to know how we need to deal with our equipment on site and keep them in tip-top condition. So I can guarantee you that this plant is well maintained. We're actually just coming out of a shutdown. If you look in your table, you'll see there was a booklet that talks about the Secunda shutdown. The guys just left now. You just need them a few days. So they were here. 25% of the plant was shut down. We took a look at more than 12,000 pieces of equipment. The inspector inspected the equipment. We check if they're still in good condition. You get recommended repairs and you restore the equipment to where it needs to be. So we went through that. We performed, I think, in the 3 weeks, more than 150,000 activities. We think there's too many people now, but last week there was 30,000 additional people on site, on top of our normal 10 to 15,000. And so we managed that. We've done it safely. We finished. Harald informs me we started everything last week actually. We've ramped up. We're starting up the last reformer. As I speak, it's busy warming up, and from tomorrow I think our plant will be back to normal. So it was a very, very good shutdown by the Secunda team. So that's what we do. That's our approach to maintenance and operations, to make sure that we run a very, very robust system to ensure that. And this is also governed by our teams, that every month you've got the reliability, integrity, and governance meeting where we look at all of this data. We look at it, we analyze it, and we make the right changes if we need to do so to adjust the system. And I spoke about gas now. And most of you asked the questions about gas. In my trip, someone asked me, I said, gas is 30% of your feedstock? I said, no, not quite, not at the moment. So in terms of the energy input into the factory, gas is between 7 to 9%. So that's what it is. The majority of the feedstock is coal, which is 40 million tons of it per annum. So it's lots and lots of energy through coal, and it's our cost-effective feedstock. But gas is a good feedstock for us to have. So I've said already that we've restored that. We've got, we are where we need to be in terms of having gas. And what we then do is that if you're having issues, if you're going through a bad patch in mining and you don't produce enough pure gas, what then happens, we've got space in our reforming plant because we're producing gas from the gasifiers and the reformers. I think as we drive through the plant, the colleagues will show you where the reformers are, and they'll also show you where the gasifiers are. And then, like I said, 90% of what's in gas is from coal and 10% from gas. But if coal drops a little bit, if you have gas, you then have that ability and the flexibility to use the gas. And then gas, not only we use it in Secunda, like we said, we're receiving around 161, 65 petajoules, and out of that, 40 petajoules goes to the customers, around 45 goes to Sasol, where we made various chemicals, wax, ammonia, and methanol in particular, and then the rest, around 75, we use in Secunda operations. So there's the number, so I don't even have to go to the next slide. So once we fix the coal quality, that's the last step. We think we should be able to restore the plant to 7.5 million tons plus, because we're happy with the integrity of the plant. We're happy that we've got a very nice gas outlook, and there's lots of plans in mining. There's short-term plans that we've taken. Maybe I must go to this slide, because this slide shows you our journey. FY23, we did give a guidance 6.6 to 6.9, which we met. We are on the higher end of that, and then we had to make some adjustments in what we needed to do. We now go into FY24. I think in this period, we go in, the coal stockpile is where it needs to be. We do have gas. We just went over our shutdown now, and I think that went well. So, we're confident that we'll be in that range. But going forward, to do the 7.5 plus, we have to restore the coal quality to what gasification is used to. And I think we have plans. The project is going on, progressing, and once it's implemented, we should be able to get more control on the coal quality. So that's our outlook. There's nothing new. That's what Fleetwood has said when we released the results, and I think this is just to give a basis to it. And then finally, I think in terms of the plant, Secunda, the plant you'll see today, it's not just a fuels machine. It's not a liquid fuels machine. you make 40% chemicals from this facility, and it's a variety of chemicals. I mean, it's chemicals that that we sell all over the world to more than 2,000 customers. And so you see the number then goes to 4 million tons of chemicals that you can use, but 1.5 to 1.6 of that is made from Sasol Bank. And Sasol Bank as well gets most of its feeds from Secunda, so it's absolutely crucial and critical for us that you have to maximize Secunda, because I mean it helps you to also get maximum value of what happens in Sasol Bank. So that's what we do, and then those chemicals are then sold by 4 business divisions in the chemical business. You've got the base chemicals that sells mainly our polymers, and then also the fertilizers. It's also part of that division. Then you can go to the performance solutions, where our solvents, the octene, hexene, and waxes in that business division, and essential care, where our surfactants, Safol, falls into that division. And finally, the advanced material group that sells our catalysts, mainly our catalysts and the carbon that we make in the Kabota region. And I think, so this business, I think, is common knowledge. We were challenged by the logistics, because, if you can't then get the chemicals out, you'll have to, either slow them back into fuels or cut back. But we're working very closely with Transnet to try and get all of these issues resolved. Actually, Harad and the team did intervene, and in some instances we help them with maintenance, just to make sure the locomotives are available for us to be able to get products out of this facility, because most of the chemicals you cannot easily put them on the road. For example, ammonia, the logistics system has to work. So that close collaboration between us and Transnet is absolutely crucial. So that's it on the plant, in terms of what we do. So now I'll go over to the where we are right now on the SO2, or the minimum emission standards. So what I'm just trying to show there with that timeline is that this has been a journey. This has been a journey that started in around 2013, 2014. And sometimes, some of the people will mention that, Sasol just doesn't want to comply. Why don't you just comply? However, this journey hopefully shows you that for what we needed to do in 2018, we actually made, in 2017 to where we are today, we made significant strides. And already in 2013, we did indicate that SO2 was going to be a challenge. Because you'll see when you go to the plant, how the plant is configured, that you actually don't have technically space to put a flue gas desulfurization unit, as an example. You actually cannot. So we looked at it, but we looked at many other ways. So we didn't just stop there. We spent almost 200 to 300 million trying to find ways to deal with the SO2. We even looked at coal beneficiation to see if we could do that, but when we get the solutions, it was just not feasible or workable, or it didn't even look wise. At the end, in 2021, we applied for a coordination to the minister for us to bring an integrated approach. And what we liked about that integrated approach is that it was giving you the SO2 benefit that you can get anyway by going via the concentration route. And on top of that, it also gave you the benefit that you can reduce the greenhouse gases, because it's a load-based reduction. You will see the boilers as we drive. I'll see how we're going to drive. We've got 8 boilers on the western side, and on the eastern plant we've got 9 boilers, so 17 of them. So we'll turn down, not shut them down, but we'll turn down the load to 6 boilers, which means we will use less coal. And by so doing, we are going to reduce the SO2 and get the benefits of other pollutants as well. And I think we've indicated that over the last 5 years, we spent more than 7 billion, but it was, on the other pollutants of concern, the PM, the NOx, that we're busy dealing with. And we spent money, and we're on track on that to make sure that by 2025, everything is where it needs to be. And currently, our plants are operating legally because we've got postponements. We had postponements from 2015 to 2020, then 2020 to 25. So we've got those postponements, and our plants are within all of those limits. So The SO2 as well, I mean, as you indicate, we use the 12A approach, which is a legal, I mean, precedent that's allowed in law that we could be regulated on load. So we applied to the National Air Quality Officer, as we've indicated before, and she declined our application on legal technicalities, and that is why we have, appealed that to the minister. So we've appealed it, and that appeal is ongoing. And yeah, we've got a video that I'm going to show now that goes more in depth in terms of what this is.
For a moment, let's imagine the coffee cup represents the Secunda operations boilers, with sugar representing SO2 and caffeine representing particulate matter and nitrogen oxide. As a baseline, we look at a person consuming 6 cups of coffee with a total of 12 teaspoons of sugar. How can they reduce their sugar intake? With a concentration-based method, they can simply reduce the amount of sugar per cup to 1 teaspoon and decrease their intake by 50% while still drinking the same amount of coffee, and therefore also still taking in the same amount of caffeine. With a load-based method, you can achieve the goal of reducing your sugar intake by half by reducing the cups of coffee you drink by half, while keeping the amount of sugar per cup the same. An additional benefit of this approach is that you have also reduced your caffeine intake by half. Overall, the healthier choice. Sasol is proposing to follow the load-based method where we will turn down our boiler fleet to reduce the SO2 emissions by about 30%. As with the coffee, this approach will not only reduce SO2 emissions, but particulate matter and nitrogen oxide as well. To enable this approach, Sasol has requested to be regulated on a load base instead of a concentration base, as per our Clause 12A application. We fully believe this to be the better option in the interest of public health.
Yes, so that's where we are on the 12A, and as you've seen, we've demonstrated on that graphic just between load and concentration. That's what it is. Part of our application actually has scientific information backing that up, calculations, and with the local guys, and we've asked 2 international experts as well to also check, concentration versus load, and the reports have also come in to also confirm the same. So I think maybe to preempt the question or to answer it, because it was asked yesterday, so what if the minister says no? During the results presentation, Fleetwood did say, this is a license, it's our license to operate. So if in the extreme cases, if someone were to say no, you can't do even this load based, then you'll have to, I suppose, you don't have a license, you can't operate. But for us, we're saying it doesn't make sense. Of course, we're giving you the same thing, even better, and that has been much more improved. So that we've demonstrated that. So the process is you'll have to appeal. You can appeal the decision of the minister to be reviewed. So we'll follow that process. And even after that, we can still take our argument to the Constitutional Court. But where we are is that we've got a logical solution. It achieves what is being asked, and hopefully we will be able to go through a sane process to resolve it. The minister as well has actually set up a forum now, so she asked us if she can refer this to a forum, and that forum has technical experts to look through this appeal. And the NECA forum is the same forum that she used with ESCOM. So we've agreed. There was a timing issue that it was to and fro, but we've also settled on the timing that the forum has 2 months to deal with the matter. So the minister should actually have an answer from the forum before the end of this year. So we're looking forward to that. we will go and represent, our solution there. We've put all the applications, and we'll supplement as well, if needs be, with the additional info that we have. Yeah, and moving away from the plants and the 12A, going into what we do around Secunda. I think you've recognized as well in your underground that Sasol is all about the people. I think one of the you saw great machines and those continuous miners, but I hope most of you, what you'll be left with is the pride and the joy and those smiles in our people as they do that. I think the culture that we have in this company is extraordinary and phenomenal. So we continue doing that. So we focus on education all the way from ECD, lots and lots of involvement in our communities around, and all the way to high school and even into university. Sasol makes major contribution. We've got science centers both in the Secunda region and in Sasolburg, but those science centers have a far-reaching reach where we are able to contribute to the upliftment of education in this province and even beyond the borders of this province. And we run environmental and safety and security campaigns in the communities around us. One of the campaigns that's shown there was the recycling, where it looks, it is actually a simple approach, because we bought these bicycles, branded them Sasol, and we actually cleaned up almost 19 rubbish dumps in the townships, and we converted them into vegetable gardens. So it was a massive recycling step that we do, and we continue to involve in the community in many ways. Infrastructure, you can see even this club, how fantastic it looks, sports facilities, just to make sure that the fence-land communities and our people that are working here are living in a world-class town. We do this in challenging circumstances, I must admit, but we continue to do it either way, because we want to make sure that the areas surrounding our facilities are well looked after. So that's it, from my side. And I think, in summary, I hope I've shown you that as far as the coal quality, as far as we can reasonably we have mitigated it. Because if we did nothing, the 6.6 number was actually a real number. It was a real number, because if you remember by FY23, halfway through, we were almost 3.2 million tons. So see, we could easily just run 6.6, but the teams both in mining and Secunda worked very hard to make sure that the factors that are within our control, we can control them very well to restore at least our plant to the 7.0 to 7.3, and we've done that. We have plans to go back to the 7.5, like Fleetwood always says. We cannot look and admire the problem, so we're not admiring the problem. We have plans to deal with it, and we've got absolute commitment in compliance. I think for us, you've heard even when we spoke about the water use license, this company, compliance comes first. So we want to comply to all the laws, as far as we have to deal with those things. And finally, all of these things we don't do at all costs. As we do this, we want to make sure that it's cost effective to keep our value chains very, very competitive. Thank you very much. I must hand over to Sarusha to now talk about sustainability and our way going forward.